many different platforms. We'd like to say hello right off the bat to our people on TikTok, to our people out there on either Facebook or on our website, shadowoftheibis.com. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, we turned into Muppets. It is the season. So, it's the holiday times. Time to bring out your Charlie Brown Christmas dances, your ugly sweaters, and all things because it is December 5th. Krampusnacht.
Oh my God, that's right. The most wonderful time of the year, unless you're a bad child.
Yes.
In which case, beatings and rusty chains.
He's a very bad boy. Yeah.
Yes,
so German traditions, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So hi everybody. Those who are Ghostlight regulars, welcome. You may notice that this week we're first of all together, which is nice. So huge shout out to our friends, Mike Cadat, Father Mike. Thank you so much for allowing us to use your space. We love you guys very much. And also with that, we are our special guest this week.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
What? We're special enough to be on the Ghostlight.
Egotism, huh? It's we're very humble.
Don't worry, we did actually have people who wanted to be on, so it's not that. But what we wanted to do was take some time because we are very excited to be launching our first in-person season with y'all in 2022.
Amazing.
So finally, we get to share some space in the same space. Again, all things COVID permitting, but we're excited to be announcing our season. And we have a big event. Our first in-person event is next Friday at Planet Ant. Please join us for the Ibis Holiday Whodunit. We are going to be having a 20s style murder mystery night with all y'all. So come on, bring your feathers, your fringe, dress up in your Marseille wave and your pearls. Come out in Charleston with us, and we will have a wonderful night full of singing with magical singers, dancing, and radio moments with a live Foley artist.
Yes,
you're looking
hello.
at it right here.
Hello. It's been a while since I did Foley, but I love it.
Yeah.
So let's do that boogie again.
It'll be fun.
It'll be delightful. Don't bring bathtub gin unless
We got
we got you covered on that one.
We'll bring the good stuff. You guys just bring yourselves. It's not prohibition, y'all.
We're not going to dash my plans.
I know. I mean, we all enjoy a good booze that sends you blind.
Right. Well, all you dames and gumshoes out there, please, we're looking forward to having y'all join us next week for, again, some opportunities to see some of Detroit's talent, some amazing actors from the area. And we'll go into that in a little bit with the show. But first, we got a night to celebrate, a Nacht.
A Nacht.
It is a Nacht
It
to
is a
remember.
Nacht.
So
it is not just a normal night. We have to code switch to German.
Ja, and why?
So, because it is Krampusnacht. Happy
ja.
Krampusnacht. Gruß von Krampus. Yes, Santa's big hairy friend. Not the one in the Norwegian postal office commercials.
Not that
By
one.
the way, check that one out.
Okay.
If you haven't, it's a beautiful love story between a man of a certain age and Saint Nicholas. Magical. But Krampus is Santa's oldest boyfriend. He's big. He's shaggy. He's got the horn too, in fact. And he likes to beat people who've been bad. And who knows? Maybe Santa also likes the birching. But basically, if you're a bad kid and you're from Germany or from the Alps, basically Austria, Germany, a little bit of Italy, Krampus will be there for you
tonight to make sure that you know that yes, you have gotten
There
zucchini.
are consequences.
So I'm just showing this amazing piece of jewelry that shows a Krampus meeting a child. You can kind of see it from an amazing. It's Rena's, I believe, actually.
I believe it probably is Rena's.
So-
Yes, she has a lot of those.
And actually, what's the
Oh
name of
my
her
God!
shop? Can you do you remember the name of her shop?
It is Sleeping Dog Gallery.
Sleeping Dog Gallery. So for anybody who's looking for funky, weird holiday things, check out Sleeping Dog Holiday. Sleeping Dog Gallery. Excuse me. And then you can have your own Krampus necklace to terrify children with. Teachers, it's a great gift. So
Yeah. Oh, also Divine Iguana. You can also look her up under Divine Iguana.
That's the one. That's I think
Divine.
I
Oh, you got it from Divine Iguana.
So
Okay.
check out Divine Iguana, y'all. And yes, find some really cool, fun, just out there jewelry. So yeah.
And turkeys.
Turkeys.
Her biggest thing. Turkeys. For some reason.
Turkeys.
Throughout the year, roasted turkey. Just people love turkeys.
You know,
I'm not quite sure why.
And on that note, you turkeys, we're here to talk a little bit about our 2023 plans. And, some of you all have been joining us over this journey of the last, it's almost a year and a half of putting what it's like to put a theater company together during a plague. That's been a lot of fun. And so you can already tell we're excited about just getting on stage and having some time in a physical space. But we have plans and schemes, and we wanted to take a little bit of time and tell you a little bit about who we are and some of those plans and schemes for 2022, because it's coming, y'all. So I guess what I love to ask is, or start off with, is talking a little bit about our season. So we are the Ibis Theater, if you've been joining us, or if you're just joining us on TikTok, hi. We are a mobile Detroit theater company, a consent-based space, an anti-racist space, and one that is devoted to theatrical shadow work. We'll explain a little bit about what that means with us and some things that we think we can offer the area that we've just really had some inspiration and passion behind. So one of the things that we're excited about, we are a mobile theater company. That means, yes, we're in a little caravan. And actually, that's one of the things we're raising money for this over this holiday season, is getting an RV, a caravan, to bring care to people across the Detroit region. Look, we've all been performing in Detroit for a long time, and we love the numerous venues and art centers that are here. But one thing that we've all noticed, that's really been highlighted over the last couple of years, especially during the pandemic, has been there's a gap between the art that's accessible and easily available in the downtown epicenter of Detroit versus the art that's accessible and easily accessed in the neighborhoods. And so what we realize is that we need to go back to the old school, like old school way of doing theater, and look at some of the models of the roving troops of players. I went ahead and read a few plays, and actually we had some other friends who did some amazing work this over the pandemic. Shout out to our friends at Open Book. Open Book Theater is an amazing theater that does, among many main stage shows, did a series of driveway theater. So they'd come to your house or your church and put on a show in your driveway. Brilliant response during the pandemic. And, we were reading some different plays about the 14th century, because that's the last time we had a really big play like this, and came across some scripts where players were really the center and the highlight and the focus. And we started thinking about, wow, these traveling troops of people. There are still amazing, traveling or mobile groups today, but seeing that activity in Detroit and being able to take dinner and a show to different places, whether it's schools, rec centers, outside the box, community places, that big old empty field that you got just hanging out in the back, and a chance for us to put on some lights, bring in our partners, pop-up chefs that would bring the dinner side, and then we would bring in the show. So this is a beautiful opportunity for us to stay mobile, to stay flexible, and to really listen to what our audiences need and come to them rather than having them come to us. And I'd like to just ask you guys, because I know we've been working on some of the shows that we would start off with the caravan. And one of the focal points we have are bringing people together through healing. So this is some of that theatrical shadow work we were talking about a little bit before. But bringing people together with stories that we all connect to. And one of the big ones we saw for that were creating a family-friendly story or family-friendly show that can bring in different folk tales or stories about archetypes that we can all see ourselves in, reflected by diverse casts, by casts that are transcending race, gender, identity, and really allowing kids to see themselves on stage. So I'd love to just check in with you guys. I know we've got some plans about some stories that we'd love to see, but maybe a couple of stories that you're passionate about seeing in the caravan next year.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I love and about what we're doing is I love that we are interested in featuring voices that are not necessarily heard. Because that's something I love. I love storytelling, and I love real life storytelling. People telling their own true stories that happen to them. But I also love cultural stories which are folk tales, because we learn very interesting things about people and what those folk tales are. And also, since I'm Roma, I love caravans. So that's that's another thing that I love about that, is that we're actually doing stuff with a caravan. But I love that we're going to do a story called Brother Scamp. We're going to do a version of the Red Shoes. What was the third?
So we have a really beautiful version of Melindy and the Little Devil.
Yes.
If you're familiar with her stories, these are a series of African-American folk tales from the South, tales from West Africa, that were kind of collected together. And Melindy and the Little Devil is one of those two that, again, even though it happened in one certain area of the South, you might recognize different moments from that story in other cultures that share it and share those traditions.
Exactly. So we love to do that. We love to represent all of these different folk tales from various places, and then we can see where we coalesce and where they speak to all of us.
I love that.
Yes.
Speak to all of us. So that, to me, is my favorite part of the caravan in general. Right?
Yeah.
Is the idea that art can help you feel, but it can also help you heal. And to be able to give access to the art to people who wouldn't otherwise have that access, that's my favorite, of being able to bring it to you. Because, in this day and age, and I don't know how many of you out there have the same story, but my story tends to be, I really love to go see that show, but I don't have the money, or I can't get there. And that was my story for a really long time. And it was really hard for me to be able to get and experience art in person in front of my face. And I just want to be able to, with the caravan, what we can do and what I want to be able to do is to reach out to people and help bridge that gap between people who want to have art in their lives and the art itself. Like, bring you all together, put you all together in the same little room.
Look, and that is I'm glad you brought up that point. Y'all, I was lucky and just happened. I'm so blessed by lottery. Got to see, I'm blanking on it. I'm so sorry, y'all. So I saw Hadestown last night. I'm excited about it because it was an incredible, mind-blowing experience. But I also am the person who would look up the tickets, and I had no faith. I've never won the lottery before this, so this has been amazing. So yes, it's incredible. Go see it if you can this weekend, y'all. There's still a couple days. I think today might be the last day though. But if you are able to see this show, please try to see this show. I will say though, seeing a show that is literally set in like the Depression kind of time, that is based around jazz and a kind of juke joint feel, that is based around, literally has songs about poverty being the enemy, and then seeing $195 for the nosebleed seats.
See, now that's
why so many folks have a hard time seeing theater, and
it makes me angry.
And I want us to get paid. That's the other thing. I'm not trying to say like, look, we need our folks out here and getting paid and paid well. However, there's also a huge number of Detroiters and people in the area that just are being cut off from opportunities to experience art, to have their hearts sing with Orpheus, to have a moment where we all raise our glass to people who don't always win. Orpheus is a tragedy, the story of Orpheus. Speaking of archetypes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's one, a myth, right? That we would maybe even within our own caravan might find a myth or a folk tale and build a show around it. But to make that so inaccessible to so many people, it's just tough. It's tough. So, but a huge shout out if anybody knows those folks in Hadestown on that touring show. Thank you. Speaking of theatrical shadow work, that was a beautiful, beautiful moment. But I think that's such a good point, Tori, is that, a lot of people's, maybe why we're not seeing as many people in theaters right now. Obviously, we got a pandemic going on, but it's just inaccessible to a lot of people. So, yeah. So we got to fix that or make some options, not even fix it. Because, people we love going to the Fisher. Hey, when we can, let's do it, right? But at the same time, making these opportunities accessible to more people, I think would be really cool. So, yeah.
So, that's some of the things we're looking forward to. And, December being the month at the end of things and just before the beginning, on the cusp of stuff, really.
Yeah.
We can also look back. And obviously, we're all inspired by theatre, and we have been for a long time. But what was that first spark? Now, see, for me, it was something not unlike what we're planning. When I was little.
Like a theater spark?
A theater spark. That spark of interest in theater. Now, when I was little, there used to be this company that would come to my school. And they would come to lots of schools. And they were called... And
I'm so sorry, can I ask, where did you grow up?
I
think that's important?
I grew up in Stratford-on-Avon.
There you go. Where the theater comes from. Sorry.
Yeah. So working in theater is a bit like, it's 1960 and you live near the Chrysler plant. The likelihood that you not work in theater in some way, shape, or form, at least for a little bit in Stratford, is negligible. And there's even more theaters now.
Right.
It's like they just keep sprouting. They're multiplying like yeast or something. In Stratford is yeasty with theater. Okay. Anyway, but when I was tiny, I used to go to. There was this theater company called Daylight Theater, and they used to come to schools, and they would unpack their trailer, and they would have one set piece, and it was a wooden contraption that they'd painted for whatever the show was. But it was basically the same thing with lots of doors and sliding bits, and it was an amazing piece of work. I don't know what happened to the theater company. I hope that piece of work stayed being used. Anyway, and they did a play about Sherlock Holmes and Egyptology. These are, these are a few of my favorite things. So I loved that, and that's one of the things that ignited Tinder that was probably all there already, kind of there because I grew up in Stratford. But the thing that made me go, "Oh, I really like theatre. Let me see if I actually do more of this," was that particular play with that particular company. And you, Luna?
Oh man, yeah, and actually, I would love to hear if y'all in the comments want to drop some of your, like, as you put it so eloquent, the spark, that show or that theater company that maybe helped you see outside the box, or helped you fall in love with theater, or fall in love with a black box, or think outside the black box, whatever. But we'd love to hear just from you all in the comments. What are some of those moments of live theater that made you fall in love? And actually, I see. Oh, hey, Daniel. I see you. I'm going to read his off real quick. The spark came from my sophomore year of high school, where I did a cowboy western farce. But being in Annie Jr. the following summer ignited the flames. I love that. And so many of us have high school stories. I didn't. I've got a weird kind of story background. My parents met in Ann Arbor Civics Theater. Way back in the day, they were working on a show together, and my dad was sweeping the stage as stage manager, and my mom came up and was trying to flirt. She's like, "Oh, you sweep so well." And my dad just turns and was like, "I hate sweeping." And he just kept going. And and so everybody just stayed there.
It's like zero game.
Zero game on both sides.
Yeah.
It was in Arbor in the 80s too, so just imagine really bad big hair involved with that whole conversation. So fast forward to the cast party, however, and my mom had made chili from like the Joy of Cooking or something.
Nice.
It was like the only time she made this thing, and she's like freaking out about it for like 2 days. My dad has it, and he loved it. And it was like, I need to talk to this woman who makes this really good chili. My dad's from Texas, so this was a big deal to like find some spice up here. And then joke was on him because she couldn't cook for shit, guys. So, great baker, not a cooker. Oops. Anyway, but from that and from my parents' interaction, they actually warned me off of theater forever. Like, we don't want you being an actress because that's a lot of work on our part. So don't do that. Don't ruin your life. Don't go be an actor. Please be a lawyer. Please, just you're good at it. So, I basically saw my first show. I was 6, and we went to go see The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe at the Boar's Head Theater in Lansing, which you might remember. It has unfortunately shut down in the last 5 years. So that's kind of a retro classic moment. But it was watching the Wicked Witch, the White Witch, just in all of her amazing glory, just dominating this stage. And I was like, I want to do that. I don't even know what it is, but I want to do that with my life. And it was a really cheesy version, like looking back now. So there's this moment where they cut off Aslan the lion's hair, and it's right before he is like sacrificed. It's very Christian story, not thinly veiled at all. And he comes back the next day, surprise. And in this version, they cut the mane off of this really cheesy lion onesie that this really strapping, handsome guy, I still remember he was gorgeous, was wearing, but it was a onesie. And then he comes back all resurrected, and there was this giant wreath of golden tinsel, like the cheesiest Christmas tinsel you could think of. And y'all, I was hooked. I was like, that lion came back to life, y'all, and he grew hair. So,
and I mean,
that was the moment. I wish it were like
he's a cat, and tinsel. It's just not a good match.
It was not, but looking back in retrospect, there's so much like discernment now about that moment. But like, honestly, guys, I fell in love, and it's all I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So, Tori,
I love it.
What about you? What was that show?
So
or group? Yeah,
I was gonna say mine has to be kind of like an amalgamation because you got to understand, little baby Tori lived with her grandma and her grandpa. Like, we lived with my grandparents for a little while. And so there was a lot of PBS that happened in the house. Right?
Yeah.
Thank you, PBS. We love you.
So I got to see a lot of like musicals and plays and stuff like that on PBS, but not ever in person. And so with the beautiful colors and everything, I decided that that's what I wanted to do, like really small, very small. I was like 4, 5. And so for the duration of my childhood, I started writing little fake shows that I would do in the family room at my grandparents' house. And there was like this long hallway, and some of them, and mind you, we're talking like 5, 6-year-old. These shows are not good, y'all.
No.
These shows have no context. Half of these shows are literally me just jumping up and down, and I think that's a whole ass show. Like, I'm not even kidding you. I would recruit my brother, and I'd be like, Marky, we have to do rehearsal. We have to practice. And I'd make him practice in one room of the house, and be like, 10 minutes later, we'd have to go to the other room of the house, because the other room of the house was the stage. Just ridiculous. I'd go to the front of the hallway, and I'd give my grandparents the ticket that they bought, and then I'd run down to the other end of the hallway, and I'd take their ticket and I'd rip it, because I perforated it with a pen, because I knew, seriously, I was that guy. And I ripped it, and there are records of this, y'all. There were like 12 VHS tapes.
I was going to say, I need evidence.
Wow.
I need evidence.
Yes, there are so many of them.
Yeah, we need to dig these out.
Okay, Bridget.
I know.
I will talk to my father and see if I can find the old VHS tapes of the comedy specials I used to put on for my stuffed animals with my weird little spoon, my kitchen spoon, and rattle microphone. If you dig out the tapes of Tori, all right, and then we will call it even.
Just don't, not the ones, not the ones of me in the leotard, not the ones of me in the leopard leotard. Those are silly. Those are
That's the ones in the leopard leotard. We need to get as 90s as possible with this moment.
so 90s. But yeah, so it was kind of just this overall feeling of loving the spectacular.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, there were 2 distinct shows. There was one when I was probably preteen and one in high school because of luck. Honestly, not because I had the means or the capability, but because of luck. One was Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat at the Masonic Temple, and one was The Lion King. It just so happened the high school I went to, the band was going on a trip to, I think it was Toronto, and they had The Lion King, and they asked the choir to join, and that was the only reason that I had a chance to. And Lion King made me cry, like a baby. And Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, I'll never forget that, because that, again, is when I experienced the spectacular of stage.
Beautiful.
Jacob and Sons. So I know we've kind of thrown a term around a little bit because we've talked about it a lot. And actually, one of our friends on TikTok was asking about theatrical theory earlier. So here's your chance. But Tori, do you want to talk a little bit about this word? We keep using it. I don't know if it means what we think it means. What is this thing?
This theatrical shadow work stuff, huh? So if you think of shadow work, the purpose of shadow work, I like this. I've heard this a lot. You're not supposed to kill the part of you that you cringe at. You're supposed to kill the part of you that cringes. So shadow work, right? Isn't that just gets you? It gets you in the feels, doesn't it? And I love that one. It's about I need my own show. I'll get my own show one day.
Yes, please.
But it's really about accepting who you are, about looking at both the light and the dark, the illumination and the shadow, and putting that all together in a celebratory way. You are the amalgamation of all parts of you, not just the good parts. And what's healing is being able to love and accept all of those things. And also, side note, tangent, who decides what's good or bad? Who decides what parts are good or bad? I mean, I say parts of you have no morality. They are neutral. You are inherently wonderful, valuable, and loved. So, with all of that being said, theatrical shadow work is a way for us to literally use theater to help people heal themselves and each other, to help them be able to look at those parts of themselves, to look at the shadows in themselves and walk away from a show feeling healthier, feeling more accepted, or if nothing else, feeling like, okay, I have things to think about now. I have ways to move forward with a more positive light or a more understanding light. Not just I watched a show.
Yeah, and I think that, like that's such a beautiful way of looking at it. We think of that phrase, all the world's a stage and all the men and women are merely players. So if we have a tool that literally helps us see reflections or moments that we connect to in our lives, right? That's a lot of what entertainment is about. But if we have a place or a space that is very honest with these conflicting parts of ourselves, right? And we can watch them there, right? It's almost like we were talking about folk tales and fairy tales earlier.
Yeah.
Being those tools that like old grandmas would use to be like, don't run away with that man who looks like a wolf, because it's going to be a bad time. Let me tell a story about it so that you can imagine the scenario without actually having to go through it, right? And there are some of those stories that are just so archetypal that we are able to really feel through. I think of things like Angels in America, or some of the things that Brecht does, or God bless Sondheim, rest in peace, sir, did a lot of really beautiful theatrical shadow work within his stories, giving places for people to recognize parts of themselves maybe that we don't like or we avoid, or that we do and we need to embrace, right? I think it's kind of a cool liminal space to be able to explore.
Liminality is something that we want to embrace, not run away from.
Right.
Because we are defined not just by our light, but also by our shades and our shadows and our darker places.
Mm-hmm.
So that doing that through theater is generally a ritual, right? Like we go through that thing, we do the ritual of going into the space, seeing the play, performing in the play, and we touch upon all sides of us, including the darker sides of us.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where we heal, not by eliminating, but by learning to live with and illuminate. And that's also why we have Beyond the Ghostlight, because the Ghostlight illuminates the middle of the stage and shows the shadows around that light.
It's like that's the name of the show. Ding, ding, ding,
That's
ding.
You name the show, you win the prize.
Trying to stay topical, y'all. And I think that actually that's a really great segue. Something I know you wanted to talk about a little bit, but it's a tough time for theaters right now. It just is. It is. It's a tough time for anybody in the public entertainment sphere. And one of the things that we've really been talking about, almost too much, but really talking about like how do we really make sure we're serving our audience? How do we serve that fourth character?
Well,
with what we need, they need.
Well, one of the things we do is in the programming that we have planned.
So like Ghostlight's a great.
Ghostlight's a good place to do it, but we also have something coming up which is going to be called the Winterworks Festival, and the Winterworks Festival is going to allow playwrights to submit. And you could do this via our website, shadowoftheibis.com. Submitting a small segment of a play you're working on, 5-10 minute scene, and we will present this to audiences, and the audiences will get to see that, will get to say how they respond to it. So we get the feedback from the audience. We give voice to people whose work needs to get out there, needs to be heard, needs to be.
I know so many people working on a play or a screenplay
Exactly.
right after the last 2 years right now, y'all. So like this is an opportunity to dig out that piece that you're working on. You need to hear it, have an audience, and we're going to have a festival in January of basically scenes from unfinished works by local playwrights here in the Michigan area. So you'll get a whole festival of different directors and actors putting out together scenes, and then there's an even. We took this audience participation thing really far this year, so don't worry. Like in a good consent-based way, we're not sticking anybody on stage and laughing at y'all. But what we are doing is at the end of our festival, we are inviting you, our audience, to figure out and vote on the show that you would like to see put up as part of our 2022 season. So you will be literally seeing a whole smorgasbord of scenes and then taking some time thinking about what you want to see fully realized in our 2022 season. And we will work with that playwright and a whole group of local talented artists to put that production together and fully realize it.
I'm really excited about the Winterfest myself. So don't forget, you got to go to shadowoftheibis.com and submit your play, or else we can't do it. But what I'm really excited about is the fact that we're literally integrating the audience into the way we are going to function. That's a really important part for us, is this collaboration sense, this idea that we're a collaboratory kind of theater company, not just with other artists and other actors and directors, but also with the audience, because you are part of creating that art. Without you, the art can exist, but does art really exist in a vacuum? Without someone to perceive it, without someone to interact with it, does art do its purpose? Mm-hmm. I would argue no. I would argue it needs to be perceived and experienced for art to do its purpose. And if you're experiencing it, if you're perceiving it, you're a part of it. And so this is a way for us to really get you in there, and you are going to become invested, because you're going to see your work on stage for 5 minutes. You're going to be like, all right, let's do this now. I need to see it, and I need to finish it, and I need to get it out there. Or as an audience member, you're going to see all these scenes, and you're going to make your vote, and you're like, all right, I hope my scene gets done. I hope my play gets done. I want to see that play on its feet. Things like that. It really creates this communal sort of autonomous and sense of ownership on all of our parts.
Yeah, I think it's one of those places where, we've got some other show announcements that we're going to be making at our holiday whodunit on Friday. So please come through and check out our full season announcement. But one of the exciting things about this is this allows our audience then to become part of our script board, our council, that we instead of having one artistic director choose the season or choose the shows that we're going to be working on, it's a very collaborative process, and one that works with our audience, the fourth character, you all. So we want to make sure that, in kind of the style of Jerzy Grotowski and some of the People's Theater, we are keeping our audiences in our decision-making processes. You all are voting on what you want to see, what you need, what is going to help y'all heal. And so we get to then, as artists on stage, collaborate with the artists in the audience, you. And then this way, we're making theater together in a way that I think can be really, really incredible. And I'm excited for it too. So thanks, y'all.
I'd like to just take a little moment here to talk about some of these comments that I got here, because we had somebody ask earlier about my dinner with Andre when we were talking about shadow work. And they just asked if we've seen it, and yes, it's amazing. Yes. We're in love with it. Also, they asked about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Oh my God, I love Stoppard.
We're all
Stoppard is
as soon as we get the funding, y'all.
We're
going.
Yeah, I would love to do Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and you can make that happen by donating.
I was just about to say, and the final one I want to comment on is, not to mention, crowdfunding. That comment right there is my favorite comment. If you are watching on TikTok, you can go to the link in my bio and you will see support the Ibis. Go ahead and throw some donations in there. If you want to hit the very first support button, just make sure you put in a little fire emoji in the donation so they know that you're throwing a donation in there for us to be on fire. But yeah, the link is in my bio. If you are watching on the website, you can go right up to the little donate button up in the right-hand corner and hit that. Take you to the donate button, take you to the donate space. And if you are watching on Facebook, you will have to go to our website to donate.
Yeah.
Unless you scroll all the way through our Facebook page, because there's we've made a few posts about our light GoFundMe that we need. You can scroll there, but it'll be way easier to go to our website.
Yeah. We also have a GoFundMe, which we will pull up the banner.
We do.
There it is. Magical.
Light us up. So, and kind of with that, guys, we have a lot of things that we want to do. I will say right now, you said the right thing with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. You're looking at Laertes and Hamlet from a couple of years ago, way back in the day. So that is, yes, we want to make that happen within our next 3 years, 4 years, probably. That actually has been a show under discussion for our theater. So thank you for having a good idea and sharing it with us. Speaking of audience participation, I wanted to talk a little bit. Actually, we kind of joked about it for a moment, but there's a lot of we are consent-based theater entirely, and that is a very important thing right now, especially as we're all sort of coming back from the pandemic. And we really want to, again, encourage more of a dialogue between our audience, the artist in the audience, and the artist on stage. And we have a lot of shows and opportunities, obviously with the caravan and other things that are coming, of encouraging this kind of dialogue between us. But what are some other consent-based ways that we can encourage our artists on stage, you in the community, to work together, to go ahead and collaborate and put together these pieces? I'm just curious from you guys. I have a couple thoughts too there that we're putting in our season, but outside of, spaces actually like Beyond the Ghostlight, I think are a great space for us to come online, have discussions versus just like talking heads, and find new ways to connect and hear what you all need. What's the healing for your soul, right? What stories can we bring, to get your hearts feeling good and our souls feeling good so that we can continue to build in our communities, I love that.
Well, bringing things to those various communities is obviously going to help, which again, you can help with that if you're not in the Detroit area, or if you are in the Detroit area, bringing things to schools, allowing that people to talk, having follow-ups instead of having that talk back, having maybe workshops.
Every actor dreads the talk back. I'm just gonna let y'all know we hate it. We don't love being asked how do we memorize the lines. I'm just saying it's but we love talking with you. I think that's the thing, is like the talk back is so weird and formal. But like if we were able to do a workshop or like something after a show where we're able to engage with people and
unpack how people have responded to a show or where their ideas are going, that kind of thing. That's what we really want. We're very much into audience response, and what our work makes people feel, and how through talking through those feelings we can chant healings.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really do love that. One thing that I think that we can do, or that theaters in general can do, because I went to a show when I was out in LA, kind of talked about it last episode, that dealt with very heavy themes. And it had a literal form that you had to read ahead of time before they even let you in. Like, they was on the website when you bought your ticket, and they checked you in and asked you, please open it and read it again before we put you in. And it explained, like, it didn't, give away the show, but it made sure that you were prepared for what you were going to see, so that you could decide, and you could decide all the way up until that point. You could still decide to, like, oh, you know what, I'd rather not, and you can get your money back. But it's just making sure that it was consented, it's a consented experience.
And I think that's a thing we're really starting to see in more spaces in general right now, thank God, is this idea of teaching through consent instead of teaching through surprise. And one thing I know you're really passionate about this aspect of our group, and we'll talk about this a little bit now. I think one of those third pieces that we haven't hit on is education. I think that, obviously, we go to theater to be entertained, right? And there's that other piece of education. And Tori, what are you most excited about for our educational programming in general over the next year and a half? Because we got plans for a couple years now.
we do. We've got big, hairy ass, audacious goals for this
big ball goals.
branch. I swear to God, we about to create a whole ass university or something. But no, the truth is,
Hogwarts for theater people.
welcome everyone. So
He just turned into McGonagall. She just became the Dowager Countess.
I don't know what happened, y'all. I don't know what happened, but that's what happened. So I am very, very passionate about our educational branch, and we can trace this all the way back to the summer of 2019 with my broken ass leg on my crutches when we were working at for this nonprofit organization, and I couldn't drive myself nowhere, so I was getting picked up and dropped off, and I'd ride with her a lot.
Yes.
And so we would talk
Car talk
about stuff, and I was like, I feel like how much farther could we have been, right? If we had a level of our education that explained to us how to turn our art into a business. Like literally, how do we make money on creating art? Because we get taught how to create the art. We get taught how to get hired to do the art in a way, but we don't get really taught how to do it on our own terms. How to take ourselves as a brand, or how to be an independent contractor and like logistically do the thing. And I think that if we had more artists, particularly in Detroit, who had the ability, who had the understanding and the knowledge and the skill set to turn their art into a business, I don't see any reason why we can't be just as big of a theater district as New York, LA, Chicago. We are spatially, we're like the third biggest.
Yeah, we're
second,
absolutely massive.
The only bigger, second, y'all, we are somehow bigger than Chicago, and I still don't understand that math, but in terms of space, New York is the only biggest theater district than we have here in Detroit.
And for some reason, for some freaking messed up reason, Michigan Theater is set up, and Michigan art in general is set up to not have the space for us to thrive, right? And we can only thrive if we have enough money to do it. But how do we do that? We're not taught how to do our taxes as independent contractors. We're not taught, okay, how do I market myself? How do I brand myself? What do I need a logo? We're not taught those things. We're taught how to be hired to do someone else's show. So what I want to do is bring that shit home and be like, let's learn how to do our own show. Let's create our own art. Let's not, wait for big wigs, the old white men in blazers and button downs deciding whether or not we can do that show or that part or that piece. Fuck them. And we're going to create a place and a space for artists to create the art that they want to create sustainably here in Detroit.
And I think, to that point, there's a lot of, we've got some pots that are bubbling. And one of those things that I think that's a big part of that is knowing Detroit is that kind of place where everybody is less than half a cousin away from everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
We all work together in these same spaces. And if you don't know how to do it, you know somebody who does. You've got a guy. Everybody's got a guy here. And so this is one of those places that is actually an amazing training ground for young people, for young artists, for young collaborators to really learn and pick up the ropes that if you want to succeed and thrive here in Detroit, you can. If you want to be a snowbird and half the year you're here when it makes sense, and when the snow hits, you're, singing on cruise ships or whatever you're doing, you're able to figure out what that looks like for you if you have your own company. Look, a mobile theater company is maybe just the one of a few mobile theater companies that starts touring around the United States of America. Those are things that, we want to, again, encourage young people and also not forget about the people who have had to maybe skip that training because we didn't have it in high school or we didn't have it made accessible to us. So to also bridge that gap for people who may not be immediately literate with the 5 million different platforms that are going on socially, how to use those things for your advantage. And so I think that's a really brilliant
I love this
way to serve. Yeah.
I remember having to stand in long lines for auditions. Now we get to the consumer immediately.
Cattle call.
It is a game changer, people. The pandemic, yes, we all know pandemic Lovato, that sucked. Yes, sucks currently because it's still fucking happening.
We're still going through it.
But it has created this whole new way to connect with each other. And now actors can audition via the screen. It's a little different, but we can still audition via the screen. I don't have to be there in person. I don't have to stand there in this long ass line that never ends. Like, it's just different. And that's a big argument, not a big argument, but a big conversation that a friend of mine, his name is Thomas Harris, who's a local filmmaker. His argument is like, there are 600 plus streaming services on the internet today. 600 plus. They all need programming. They all need shows.
Yes. Period.
Make the art. Here's your sign. If you were thinking maybe you didn't know if you want to start that project, start the project.
Speak it into existence. Let's make it happen, y'all. It's important. Speaking of speaking things into existence, we have our first live person show next week, next Friday. So, guys, what can people expect next Friday? What are we throwing? What's the bash?
Well, it's a holiday whodunit. We are going to be presenting some singers, a little bit of cabaret. One of whom is, well, two of whom are here. I do sing, but I'm not gonna. But what I will be doing is I'll be doing some Foley work with a radio show that we'll all be part of, as well as a bunch of other talented people from the Detroit area. It will be something that was originally broadcast in the early 40s, and it's a whodunit. It's featuring a detective who we all love. We discovered her when looking through old radio scripts, and we just love this particular detective.
Yeah.
And who knows? We may be doing a back-end pilot on Friday. Maybe you may see more of her from us.
We love her. I think we were looking for rights-free shows, honestly, y'all, to do right now during the pandemic, to figure out ways to do hybrid programming so that people can still enjoy a show. And we were like, oh, radio, let's find some fun radio plays. And then we found the stories of Rosika Story. Right, exactly. Who is a female Sherlock Holmes of her time. And yes, and very, we'll just say the queer coding in this one is not as, it's subtle, but.
Is it subtle? Well, yes, it is, but if you know what to look for.
Just gals being pals. Which again, for the time period, was like an amazing discovery. And if you all are interested, please feel free. It's Rosika Story, Storey. If some of you are old fans of radio, like we weirdos. But feel free to check these out because, like Nick said, this might be a testing ground for other projects, ongoing projects that can translate very well to TikTok or Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and find ways to keep our actors performing and thriving and finding new ways to do shows while we've got new variants popping up every other month. So
right. Omicron, so hot right now.
Yeah, sure. I really quickly wanted to do a shout out to our amazing cast that we have coming through. Y'all, we've got some phenomenal talent coming to you next Friday. So really quickly off the bat, the amazing Cassandra Freeman. I'm actually wearing some of Cassandra's merch right now. I don't know if you guys can see it, but we've been talking about thriving a lot. This is one of Cassandra's amazing t-shirts that she sells with her small business. So if you're friends with her on Facebook or online, I'm actually, the name of her store is I'm blanking on right now. But she has amazing merch and is an incredible interpreter of story here in Detroit. We also have the amazing Victoria Weatherspoon here. Who will be playing multiple roles in the upcoming show. And I believe doing some announcing as well.
I'm gonna be doing some stuff, a few different things, but yes, I will be announcing. I will be playing a character.
Yeah.
I will be singing some sounds.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm many hats.
Many hats. We have the amazing and Jerry Nicholson joining us as well. NJ, we love you. The princess of Detroit. She is our Disney princess, as well as the Renaissance Festival princess, and just the queen of the queen of dramatic takes. I love y'all. Rehearsals have been hard to get through without laughing. It's been
So fun.
amazing. We also have our amazing Breon Kennedy joining us again.
You loved her and we closed. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
So we love working with Breon. She's also now somehow like the jump rope queen of Detroit.
I know.
She did one of the sidewalk shows.
One of the driveway theater.
She learned how to jump rope for this, and I think she's now teaching classes at the local YMCA. So feel free, hit her up, sign up for your jump rope class if you're feeling this thing around the gut that you need to hide as well now over the last couple of years. And yeah, she makes a lot of fun, and then she's just hilarious and very talented too. And then I'm going to shout out also, we've got James Abbott. James Abbott, the puppeteer of Detroit, is going to be playing our lovesick hero in the show, bringing a lot of laughs, bringing a lot of fun. I know James doesn't have any puppetry going on at the moment, but has some shows coming up too. So make sure you ask him about that on Friday. And then last but certainly not least, we have the one and only Kathleen McLean. Kate is going to be playing several roles during the show, one of which she may be having a conversation with herself as two different characters during a radio program. Y'all, it's amazing to watch her switching in accents. It's just really, really fun. So, and Kate will be joining us. She's also part of our Creative Collective. Unfortunately, could not make it here with us tonight, but very passionate about, again, our education programming and our fundraising, at ways of, supporting a theater without feeling we have to be, capitalistic trolls and figure out how to make things work. So a lot of love to Kate. I know you'd be with us tonight if you could, but big shout out, and you can see her and this entire incredible cast on Friday at 7:30. The show's at 8, but doors at 7:30.
$10 cover. You can go to Planet Ant, which is we're at the Ant Hall in Hamtramck. We have a banner. And
there we go. Wait. Oh, get the Eric banner.
Wait, where's the banner?
Eric banner. Oh no.
Oh, the banner.
Somewhere.
It's somewhere. But we will have that banner up in a moment.
Okay, it exists.
It exists, y'all.
There we are. We'll also be showing a piece that we created collaboratively called With My Next Breath, which will be showing in a loop that we would encourage everyone to come see.
Yes.
It's one of our first collaborative works. We've been tinkering with it over several months, but we'll actually be premiering it during that evening. And then we also have a number of really cool vendors.
Yes.
You want to tell us about the vendors?
We do have some awesome vendors. We've got a number of wonderful, actually, they are all women, aren't they?
They are.
All female.
They're all
Didn't
women.
mean to, but it happens.
Yeah, they're all women, wonderful group of women vendors. We're going to have, before I die, Lord have mercy, y'all. That was almost me dying. Y'all almost saw something happen. Okay.
That would have been funny.
That would have been something. But so our vendors, we've got actually Kate McLean is going to be doing a little bit of vending as well. You can get your tarot read, and that's going to be super exciting because I'm going to definitely be getting my tarot read. I need to know my future.
Yep.
I need to know that. We've got trinkets and such with Deja
Mackenzie. A
Mackenzie.
big shout out to Deja. She actually just had a really amazing spread, and I forget which magazine it was, but it was an important fashion magazine. And like, give her all the business, y'all. Trinkets and such. One of my absolute favorite things. But she also works as, I believe, the managers at Detroit is the New Black. So you could hit her up there and then just ask about like her own business, because I wear so much of her jewelry. I always get her stuff as gifts for other people, and then I end up keeping it. So anyway.
Yes. And then we have Ayanna Hannibal.
Yay!
Ayanna Hannibal is a young up-and-coming Detroit artist. Her pieces are gorgeous. She works both individually. You can buy her pieces, and she works on commission. You can commission her to do a piece for you. She's going to be there with some of her art, I believe.
Yes.
She'll be there with some of her art.
Yeah.
So please make your way down to check her out. And then we've got
Sean, but I know everybody by their first name.
It's okay. I had that moment of panic too earlier.
Oh God, last name.
I forgot Hades Town.
Sean Young.
You know.
Sean Young. Okay. With Sean Designs, her wonderful art pieces, her jewelry, just a wonderful artist, friend of mine, and a lot of wearable pieces, just perfect, using classic African symbolism, and just wonderful symbolic pieces that you can wear that look beautiful with any kind of outfit.
So holiday shopping and a show and some drinks and some singing. I mean, it's gonna be a really
wonderful
good
evening.
night. Yeah,
it's gonna be so much fun. I can't wait. I can't wait to see y'all. This is gonna be so good. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna dance. You're gonna drink. It's gonna be fun.
Hopefully, it'll be a good time. Not hopefully, it's going to be great. And I just really quickly again, I think that this kind of night is we're just excited because it's finally the first time we could be on stage together with a lot of folks.
Oh yeah.
But I think also what's been amazing has been seeing all of these different artists come together and collaborate, and that's I think something we touched on earlier is just seeing how this community comes through, and it's just like, who needs hands? I got a thing. I can do a thing. Do you want help? Hey, I need a space to, because my jewelry sales have been low or whatever. And we're like, you know what? Let's go ahead. We all come together and we make that happen,
And speaking of coming together.
Yes.
I was honored on Friday because I did a thing at Art of Armageddon Beach Party Lounge.
Ooh, I love them as artists.
Wonderful art, beautiful piece, and we have a piece that they donated that you can bid on that shows so many levels, so many layers. There is shadow work involved. You can see depictions of the self and the shadow self within it. It's a wonderful piece, and you can own it.
Silent auction, y'all. And I will say, at Armageddon Beach Party, they're so cool. They're so cool.
So cool.
And their art is just absolutely incredible. So we're really blessed and lucky to have such an incredible community of people coming together. And we can't wait to have you there and to have you join us in person so we can celebrate, finally boogie after way too long, and also perform and just have a moment to talk with each other. So I think that's most of what we wanted to talk about with our actual events. Please stay tuned with us, y'all. We've got some events coming up also. 2022 is going to be a big year for us. We're really launching our first season, and we're taking that time to make sure that we launch off right, and we include you all in that process. So, I'm excited. It's going to be a good time, everybody.
So pumped.
Before we hop out, what are you all doing for Krampusnacht other than escaping the hail storm that came while we're talking?
Yo, I'm going to sleep. I'm going back to my mom's house. I might go live later on TikTok from my couch and or chair. But for the most part, I'm about to go get warm and snuggly. I'm probably gonna hot cocoa that shit.
Ooh, it is a cocoa night.
Yes, right underneath blanket. Maybe a movie.
Krampus movie is what on our docket tonight. We're gonna do probably Coco and Krampus. So
Cocoa and Krampus. I love it.
I have some music editing I have to do. Because yeah, I need to jiggery pokery some music for Friday, and also I'm going to crack out my Krampus mug, which I usually use for all of December.
Krampus mug.
Krampus mug.
Krampus mug.
It's a beautiful mug. It features classic art. Maybe I'll do a TikTok about that. Yeah, it's been a prized possession for years. It definitely sparks joy. And so I'll be doing that, some sound editing, and maybe catching. I just saw that Lost in Space is on.
It is. My mom's obsessed
Netflix.
with it.
Oh, it's on Netflix finally. Oh.
Yes, there's a new season of the Netflix Lost in Space.
Apparently, I watched
Hello, Parker Posey. Hello.
I do love me some Parker Posey.
She
Parker
is
Posey's one of my
amazing.
faves. She's one of my
the
faves.
best.
She's amazing in that show.
She's so good. She's
Yeah.
so, in everything. She's
In
so
everything
good.
she
She's
does.
So good in that.
But it's such a perfect role for Parker Posey.
Yes.
It's a Posey.
It's a Posey perfect time.
Love it.
Before we hop off, I saw we had a whole bunch of comments in our just in our chat, and so I just really quickly wanted to shout out. Joey's got that fire going tonight, so Joey, stay nice and warm. It is perfect for it. I love
Oh
it.
God, and you're in Illinois. What's the weather like, Joe?
Right? Ooh, ooh. And yeah, we'll have, it looks like Daniel's doing some writing tonight too, throwing on some holiday movies. I wanted to give a shout out real quick to Sabrina. Sabrina was having some lovely ideas with us about just like audience participation and how we can include people in ways where they don't feel like that poor schmuck being yanked up on stage and being made fun of. Because that is literally the biggest fear that most Americans have.
It is true.
Number 2 to death only. So, just wanted to shout you out for that. And of course, Mama B, we love you. Hi, Bridget. Thanks for joining us today. So just some shout outs to our regulars. And we look forward to seeing y'all on Friday. Thank you again for joining us tonight. Be warm, be safe.
Hey,
Absolutely.
I want to do a couple little shout outs to my people from TikTok though, before we bounce off. Dr. Trey, hey, how you doing? Let's see, we got my love Techno. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for dropping in. That Gabba girl, Bridget, Mom, are you watching us on 2 platforms?
Dual wielding.
That's
Devices.
impressive. That's impressive. And anyone else?
This is a supportive mother.
Yes.
She don't be playing around. Anybody else out there in TikTok who joined us tonight? I got Vintage Soul. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you so much. Honestly, my community, my friends, y'all be watching Sid. Joey's doing it too. We got dual wheel.
Yeah. Hello, Sandy Joey.
I love you guys so much.
And for TikTok, I am going to be writing that review of that novel that I received. So, like, if anyone follows me and you love stuff about Roma or the word beginning with G, I'm that. I talk about that a lot. Yes. So if you want to learn about that part of culture,
Roma culture, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, we just learned, you taught us something the other day, that the word zhuzh, which I think we all use.
Let's zhuzh this up a bit.
Right. Let's make it spiffy. You zhuzh it up. And none of us knew where it came from because the funny thing is we were talking about all the ways that people spell it. And then Nick came through.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, it's spelled ZHUZH. It's like zhuzh. Because it's a Roman's word. It's one of our words, and it means to clean. It's onomatopoeic. Imagine you've taken a bucket of water and gone, zhuzh. That's where it comes from.
The more you know.
The more you know.
So, with that, everybody, zhuzh up your life. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, and we will see you all next Friday.
Yes,
Cheers,
we
everybody.
will, y'all. Oh, look, this is a really cute way for me to say goodbye.
I know,
Don't
we're
you
all just
like
like-
it?
And now we have to reach in to actually type the
We
thing and
need
say
a
goodbye.
stage manager,
We do.
clearly.
We'll get one.
We'll get one,
We
day.
guys.
need to do that. That's
Help
but
us
yeah, thank
find a
you.
stage manager.
Dollars help it make sense. All right, bye, y'all.
Bye, everybody.
Beyond the Ghostlight.